Welcome to the Plant-Based Podcast. Did you know that plants are truly amazing? Not only can you grow them and eat them, you can also wear them, drink them, nourish your skin with them, and so much more. Let Ellen and Michael inspire you to love plants as much as they do, as they chat with the movers and shakers in this wonderful plant-based world. So, let's dig in.
Series 6 of the Plant-Based Podcast is brought to you with the help of Vivara UK. Vivara are a team of garden wildlife experts, and their mission is to make nature accessible to everyone. They provide ideas and solutions to create more wildlife habitats, from large green spaces to small urban areas. Join them at vivara.co.uk today. Welcome to the Plant-Based Podcast News.
Your horticultural news roundup for the week.
A local council has told a green-fingered couple they need to pay nearly £500 for growing vegetables in their own garden. Amateur food growers Lee and Kirsty Laws transformed part of their garden into a veg patch during lockdown to enjoy with their 2-year-old granddaughter Ella. The Lincolnshire couple did so well with their new hobby, they even began selling the produce among their neighbours. The council have argued that installing the vegetable patch had constituted a change of use of the land.
Oh, that is boring. So, what appears to be the most expensive snowdrop ever sold is exciting galantophores up and down the country. A plant of the variety Golden Tears has just sold for a whopping £1,850 on eBay. It's a very special variety renowned for its unique gold markings on the flowers.
Sorry, that scares me. What if a mouse dug the bulb up or something? A failure to curb the use of peat in horticulture has caused millions of tons of carbon emissions since calls for action began 3 decades ago. The Wildlife Trust is calling for an immediate ban on all uses of peat for amateur gardeners and professional horticulture, warning a voluntary approach has been wholly ineffective. Not something Bunny Guinness agrees with.
Despite it seeming like a dull time of year in the garden, this is actually still key planting season for a range of wildflowers that you can grow from bulbs. You can plant bulbs in the green right now and get specimens such as bluebells, aconites and snowdrops under your shrubs and trees in the garden.
A Royal Mail worker has a growing social media following after hiding tiny terrariums around his home city. Ben Newell started making jars full of mosses and ferns in 2019 and sells them online alongside his full-time job. Over the years, the postman has gained 120,000 followers by creating short Instagram videos showing how he puts the plants in various glass containers. You can find Ben at Worcester Terrariums. Also, Michael, that planting bulbs isn't news.
No, I know. My news was really weak this week. Are we done?
Hi, it's Ellen Mary here. Welcome to part 2 of our Careers in Horticulture episodes. So Michael attended the Young People in Horticulture event at RHS Wisley, and he was completely inspired by so many amazing young people in the industry doing amazing things. And the feedback that we've had has been absolutely awesome. So we thought it would be really helpful to talk through our careers in horticulture, like how we came to be doing what we're doing. And this is the second half, and you can find the first episode, which was a couple of weeks ago now. You'll find that in the podcast library. And this one kicks off with Michael telling us about his career at Thompson and Morgan.
It's just over the years I kind of just built, and I was always pushed into different things, and I guess then because I was the guy finding the plants and doing all that, that was where I was then encouraged to start to work on the TV stuff. And initially, I don't know if did you ever get like T&M Thompson Morgan catalogues when you were younger? I don't know.
I don't remember now. I really wouldn't remember.
Because we used to put together a video catalogue. So this was like a presented video, like kind of QVC, I guess, that was sent out as a catalogue. It obviously later became DVD. And I used to work on like the production for that, the kind of behind the scenes, getting everything ready and such. And at that stage, I didn't imagine I'd ever be the other side of the camera, as it were. So, yeah. And then I guess over the years, I was going through this cycle of introducing new plants, kind of traveling to find them, kind of writing the copy for the back of the seed packets, naming a lot of the products. It's really cute today, Ellen, when I see kind of like Instagrammers when they're growing different types of seed, and I'm like, oh, I named that variety. And kind of
that's really
I'd have written
cool.
that copy, or I'd have introduced the variety first up. But if you keep telling everyone, you end up looking like a d***, so I don't always tell people. But yeah, so just kind of like just built that. And then I think we were selling plants on QVC. No, I think probably what came first was we started to, working with Paul, we did quite a few kind of crazy PR stunts. So when they first bought the black hyacinth, the first few bulbs was like 150,000 euros. So that was then a newspaper headline that we had the very first black hyacinth in the world. We then bought £700 snowdrop off eBay. That was obviously a headline grabber as well. And that was when I was then asked to go on the Titchmarsh show. And that was actually my first TV appearance. And I'm like, have you seen the video? Maybe I'll share the link next week for
you should do, yeah.
As well. But oh my God.
You should share the link to your first appearance, and I'll see if I can find mine as well.
Oh, defo.
Yeah. That would be really. No, I tell you what, I was sweating buckets. I was so nervous.
Really?
Yeah.
It's so funny. And it's funny because when people ask for advice, how do you do what you do? And it is just, the best advice is just by doing it, because by doing it, you get used to doing it. And then you get to the stage where you're doing it and you don't even realize that you're doing it, if you know what I mean. Yeah. I've explained that really badly, but it really does make sense too.
Well, yeah.
So I just was pushed into doing these TV roles, like on the back of the PR that we needed for a lot of those plants. And then the QVC stuff then followed with that. And then, just kind of built really. And then about 6 years ago, I decided to leave and move freelance. But it's time for you to tell us about the start of your career when you left those architects.
Oh, well, I worked part-time with them for a while. And so I used to I just basically put notices up in like all the local village, like post offices and stuff as a gardener. And then I just started doing everyone's gardens, like locally, and just
Were you like a cool girl?
I was a
botanical
cool girl. That's amazing. Oh my God. Yeah, that's exactly what I was. And I had some amazing experience, and I also had some really rough experience as well. I think I've even told you about the one time someone asked me to graft some old English apple trees, and I spent days grafting so many of these. Like, I mean, there's just so many, I can't even tell you. And I put my price in and he didn't pay, and And then I happened to bump into him at the garage, and I said, hey, I'm still waiting for my payment. And he said, how much was it? And I can't even remember now how much it was, but let's say it was £100. And he went, well, here, I'll give you 60 or whatever it was. Yeah, like I've had some real rubbish experiences like that. And I think that was partially because people do not respect the role of a gardener sometimes. And maybe because I'm female too. So there were a few experiences that I had like that, which were rough, but I never gave up because I just loved what I was doing so much. And I think one of the reasons, I will just say, I think is really important was when I decided to actually end up leaving the architects, who, you know, I have a lot to thank for because I learned tons of skills with them. It was because I had a big thing happen in my life, and I realized that I wanted to be doing what I love, because life is just way too short to not be doing it. So no matter what your career is.
Epiphany.
Well, it wasn't so much of an epiphany as like that push that I needed forward to actually go forward and do it full time, you know. And I think like it's just really important to do what you want to do. It doesn't matter what careers teachers tell you. It doesn't matter what, sorry parents, but it doesn't matter what your parents tell you. If you are passionate about something, you must follow that passion, because I'm not saying that I regret not doing it earlier, because I learned other skills.
That's almost what you're saying, isn't it? Yeah. But if I had known what great career there could have been in horticulture earlier, I probably would have done it. So like, just don't wait until you have that big moment in your life. Like follow your dream is what I'm saying. It's really important. So then I was doing that full time, and it just so happened that I can't really remember the exact like moment, but I was asked to go and talk about gardening on a new TV station, which was called Mustard TV, based in Norwich, so after Coleman's Mustard. And it was owned by Archon, and I'd written some articles for Archon regarding gardening before, and I said, yeah, sure, I'll come on. Like, I'm like you, Michael. We don't say no to much, do we? We're generally yes people. Let's just give it a go. Feel the fear and do it anyway.
Yeah.
You know?
And I was super scared. Like, I was like, whoa, I'm going on TV. Like, I'm not, like, I don't know what I'm doing. Anyway, I was so sweaty. My hands were sweaty. And I went on and done this piece. And this was quite a few years back now. And it was fine. And then they kept asking me to go back. And then from that, I got some writing in some magazines. And then eventually I ended up doing all of their gardening presenting and learning to produce the shows as well. So going back to like the media studies I was doing at college, I was getting first-hand like practice doing the producing too. So, and I really enjoyed the behind the scenes stuff even more than being on the camera. And really it just sort of all went from there, you know.
And obviously, because you were getting exposure, which then meant people were seeing you and booking you for other work because you've done that. And
I think it does make a difference when you have been on TV. It does make a difference. People see you. And so I was writing for numerous magazines, and then I started to do talks, and obviously providing talks just, you know, around all of the shows, like the RHS shows, and went over to Dublin to do Bloom Dublin, and just like lots of them, and it just sort of all goes from there. And then you get kind of caught in this amazing momentum of being able to, you know, educate people about how amazing gardening and plants are, and you can't get off the ride.
Is the showcase for all of that as well.
When I first went on social media, it was 2013, so I've actually been on Instagram for a lot of years, and I. At that time, there wasn't really a huge big plant community like there is now. It was a much smaller, albeit amazing community, but it was much smaller. And then it kind of just... Was it, sorry?
Was it in sepia?
Was it? Was it? Maybe, yeah, a little. It wasn't like this amazing, fast community now that's super cool. You know, the pictures weren't as amazing. The kind of like interactions weren't quite as they are now.
It was more of a kind of filter like program, wasn't it?
Yeah, I guess it was a little bit like that. To make stuff
look like old negatives and, you know, like sepia, black and white, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, and you wouldn't really be into the hashtags and stuff. It would just be posting a picture with the filter and whatnot. And I just started doing that, and it's just all really gone from there. And now it's like you can't get off the ride because it's so enjoyable, you know.
Like get off.
No, I didn't mean can't as in I want to, but I mean you can't get off it because it's so amazing. Like just being able to do something that you love doing so much, and being able to, hopefully inspire the younger generation to understand what amazing careers there are in horticulture is brilliant.
Can I back you up a minute though? Because when you were saying about when you first went freelance at that point, and you then had your first day of out in the wild, how did you then get the different opportunities? I know you said about putting the call cards around, but how did you get the opportunities writing for the papers and stuff at that stage? Did you approach them or they approached you? Or because I think for a lot of people out there, it's so hard to then imagine how something can then start to happen. Did you simply just ring them up, or what was happening there for you?
Yeah, I picked up the telephone and made a phone call. That's how long ago it was. So with the first one I ever wrote was definitely for Archon, the EDP. And then there was Places and Spaces, which was East Anglian magazine that I had a gardening column in monthly, and then there was Feast in Norfolk. And I believe, if I remember correctly, it was me approaching them first. And then after I then went on to Mustard TV, obviously you then get the opportunity. Opportunities do come to you because you've done that then. So I think I picked up the telephone.
Yeah, that's cool. And I think also it's always worth pointing out that, you might approach 10 companies. You might only get 2 replies.
Right, yeah.
Maybe one of those is a yes, maybe neither a yes. It doesn't matter. You contact another 10, and there's never... It stops people sometimes. I don't know if it's kind of pride or what, but it doesn't matter. And also, you can ask companies at different times and you might get a different reaction, because you might have been rejected for writing to that magazine, but next time you write in the 2 years or something, there might be different staff working there might be a different situation. So you have to deal with rejection, but just take it kind of in a real, it just spurs you on. And Ellen, I think you're probably similar. I fill myself up with a lot of projects so that I don't even notice the times when there's rejection, because there's another thing coming up around.
There's another thing coming.
It becomes, the rejection in a weird way becomes quite throwaway.
Yeah, it does. It's weird, isn't it? But that's the same
and you
with TV work
it very
now.
quickly.
After you've done a bit of TV work, you forget literally how sad you were. You didn't get some work however many years ago. You just move on from it. And here, where I am now in Charlotte, in North Carolina, when I very first came here a few years ago, I just put an email out to a few different stations saying, do you want someone to talk about gardening? And I didn't get some replies. I got a couple of no thank yous. And then I got one that said, we'd love for you to come on. So now whenever I'm here, I go on and do them. And the same with the majority of work I do is copywriting. So if you go online onto the internet and you're looking for how to grow a hydrangea, for example, and you might find that comes up as a blog post or instructional posts on nurseries or garden centres. Do you know what? That is very likely to be my writing, because I do so much ghostwriting. But a lot of that came from in the beginning, where I just put a mass email out going, this is what I do. Would you like me to do this for you? And that's the majority of my work.
And I mean, even now, probably from when we first started, social media is even stronger. And that, just treat it right, be professional and just create that shop window for what you do.
Yeah. It's about you. It does work. 100%. You've got to put yourself out there as much as you are comfortable with, but go out of your comfort zone a little, or you don't progress.
Have to I think people always think you've got to share a bit of yourself in terms of private life, but you don't have to at all.
No, you don't have to.
Kind of, doing stuff that is interesting, professional, kind of looks good as well, then the world's your oyster, really.
100%.
Getting over that. I think likes on Instagram, for example, are less important now, aren't they? Do you think?
Yeah, I don't think anyone's interested in that anymore.
And that surely helps a little bit. So, I need to catch you up again. So I moved to freelance from Thompson & Morgan. I had the world's most hideous long notice period, so 6 months. So it actually gave me a long time to kind of maybe quietly plan things in the background, kind of make sure I was doing the right thing, blah, blah, blah. And again, I wasn't good at planning ahead. Things just kind of fell in my lap, because I guess I'd proved myself over that 18 years at Thompson & Morgan. I kind of was quite unique in that I was so well known in the industry, and I knew the industry well, but also I knew how to talk to the consumer. So it was quite a nice little kind of combo. So I think I've started doing some consultancy with Seed Ball and Bloom Box as well.
Yeah.
So that was kind of like my first way I was then sort of earning money. And then at some point, presenting on HSN in Florida then came up. And that was when my partner was working in New York. So I was then kind of flipping back and forth there. And that literally came up through a contact. So it really is having contacts. And that came up during my last days at Thompson & Morgan, actually. So it's about networking, having contacts, not just online, but also in real life as well.
Yeah.
Make sure you do then go to events and have that face-to-face contact too. And just kind of, and when you're putting stuff out there, use the different platforms, albeit in slightly different ways. And people then know what you're up to and what you're about. And and it kind of makes them familiar with you, I guess. And I've always made social media just a habit as well. It's never really been a chore to me. Every time I'm doing something distinctive or different, I'm kind of like, I just put it on there. Even today, we did the interview with BBC Green Planet. We know, Ellen Mary, that's something we want to push out there, show off about.
It's amazing.
That's another thing, though. You have to get over the showing off element of it. It's not showing off. It's kind of showcasing. It's showcasing what you can do as a visual CV. So
you have to think of it like an online CV. That's what I think, Totally, and in your CV, you do have to put out there what you've done, So really, that's how we view our Instagram anyway. I'm just going back to what you said about doing in-person events. I can't put any more importance on that, than that, because you know what? Social media has and is an amazing tool if you use it correctly and you don't let it affect you, because obviously there's lots of stuff that goes on there. Don't depend on it, because even recently, like a day or two ago, I think it's Facebook and Instagram have actually threatened to cut their ties with the European Union, doesn't include Britain, because it's something to do with sharing data. So there's some new European law.
Will that happen?
I know, but my point being,
you've always
given moment, you could not have social media. It could all be gone. Everything could be gone. Don't rely on it. So that face-to-face interaction. Yeah, absolutely. So
very good point, Ellen Mary. Very good point.
I just thought, like, I know we've got loads more to talk about, but we're like really running on, aren't we? Because we love it so much. But I think it would be really. But I just like, people always ask us how we met, and I think this is a good point to say it, just because you just said how you were on like your 6 month notice period, and you were doing bits and pieces, outside of that. Obviously, I actually met you. I know you came to my gardening club in Norwich and done a talk. That's when we very first met. But the first time we really got together was when you were at the Thompson & Morgan trial gardens at Jimmy's farm. So when you were still working for Thompson & Morgan. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do, yeah. Did you have a fringe?
No, I didn't have a fringe. But I found the videos a couple of weeks ago, the first ever videos that we recorded together, and they literally made me cringe, but they made me laugh so much.
Oh my God, Ellen Mary, what are you like, honestly? I love when we were first starting to work together, it was really, really cool though, because we just kind of gelled, and it was through that networking through social media, and it really is the best way. But I do think sometimes something else is a kind of sidebar. I think we're lucky, Ellen, because we really were the in-between generation. So we have experienced life without the internet. We've experienced life with the internet kind of coming in. When you first could send text messages, but only to the same network. And then we've experienced life kind of, with the internet. And so I think we've got skills for offline as well as online. And I think younger people don't necessarily have that. And so, like, how do they develop the offline? It must be harder to develop the offline because they've never tried to do that or never been naturally exposed to it. Do you see what I mean?
Maybe. I don't know. It's a very different world now to even when I started in horticulture, which wasn't as early as you. So, and even that's changed over like the last, 15, 20 years, I guess. So, I feel like times are changing for horticulture. Times are changing for everybody. But horticulture, especially the industry, has to move on. Obviously, we have the environmental factor, and young people coming into horticulture want different things to what, we've all been doing all of these years. Which is sort of exciting for the industry, I think. It's
defo. I need to just finish off my little kind of sequence of what I was doing then. So so a little bit of consultancy. Then I was lucky to be presenting for HSN in the US. Back and forth doing that for a couple of years. Started to pick up different content work, kind of stuff on social media. Interesting stuff as well. I remember working for a paint brand, for example, talking about different colours with the plants and kind of,
that's cool.
You really don't know what angles these jobs are going to go down sometimes. And that is what makes it so bloody exciting and interesting. So kind of content work was then starting to build. I then have the opportunity came up at QVC, which was brilliant. So then I was actually dovetailing that with the US stuff, kind of like, doing the both of them at the same time, which was really like, oh my gosh, awful travel times. And living across to Japan, working with like Barakura English Garden. And that was just an opportunity again for a contact. So, like I often say, just be reliable, do a good job as well. And those contacts will then recommend you as well. So, so it just kind of built from there, really. And now, I put together Weird and Wacky Plant Show, kind of Rude Botany, different kind of sub-brands as well. So, it just gives me a nice kind of mixed portfolio, really. And then, and then you get approached to do a book, and then you realise that doing a book is brilliant, but also terrifying.
I love
my intro, Ella Mary.
We have book banter, don't we? Like, I hadn't ever. I think actually
it's both lovely and horrible all in one.
One of my dreams has been to write a book, and I don't suppose my dream when I was younger would have been specifically gardening, but I was really into reading. Like, I love English literature and stuff, and so just writing a book was a thing. And then having the opportunity to write that book, when did I write it? Last year or the year before?
I don't know.
2020. I wrote it, and it came out in 21. And it was amazing, and it was like a career highlight, but also it was really bloody hard work, and I know everyone says it is, but we started having book banter because obviously you've been writing your book as well, which is just, it amuses me all of the time when we go back and forth.
It takes so much time, much more than you realise.
So much more time than you think. And then
but you wouldn't have it any other way,
I have a second book coming out this year in just a few months' time. So I am saying this because I'm really, really proud, and I don't want to be like bragging about it, but I am proud of it. And I want to say it because this is something that anybody can do. If it's something that you're passionate about, you can do it. Like, I still love gardening. Getting my hands dirty is the most wonderful thing in the world, but you can expand that if you want to do more.
Well, there's people out there that self-publish as well in terms of books, isn't there?
Yeah. Turn it into what you want it to be. That is the most important thing. Like, follow your passion, whatever that
and ignore whatever your friends and family say, because you have to follow your own passion. And I said, I told Josh, the guy that's doing a bit of work for me, kind of like a loose apprentice. I said, like, because he's worried, like, what his friends then think of, like, I think some of that stigma is still there with plants in some pockets. And I just said, and I say this to everyone, just block your friends. Block your friends that are going to take the mick out of you on social media. Not just for liking plants, but when you've got those friends who are like, oh, another selfie, all of that stuff, you just need to block them or restrict them or mute them or whatever you can do to them.
I think that in any path of life, if you have people in your life that are draining you or not supporting you, then they're not good for you. So you have to move on, and that's really hard.
You've got to follow your own path.
You've got to follow your own path, and friends will support you even if they think what you're doing is bizarre. If they know that you love it, they will support you. And if they're not supporting you, then you've got to move on, because you will find other friends as you go through life that will be there to support you all of the time. So,
and almost like, as closing notes, you wouldn't want to get to further down your life and realize you hadn't done something because of what your friends would have said.
Exactly.
That seems a silly way not to follow your dream career. So,
but what we do know is horticulture is a massive industry. There's so many careers, and it's an exciting point in horticulture as well, because I think you can really pave your own career out of it. There's so many opportunities. And I think it's really exciting for any young person now entering horticulture, for sure.
Yeah, and they've actually got more tools than we ever had with the internet, social media, etc., etc. So,
there's no trips to the library 10 times a week to find out what a plant is.
Oh, thank you, Ellen. That's been a really, really interesting episode.
Thank you, Michael Perry.
For ourselves and for our listeners, hopefully. So
I just hope that us chatting through our kind of path into horticulture really just inspires people to go for it themselves in whatever way they so choose, whatever path it is they want to take. But plants are the best, basically.
And what's next for Ellen Mary? You don't think ahead like me. You're like me, like that.
I don't know. I've got to think ahead.
That's how you stay reactive, isn't it?
Yeah. I don't even know what I'm doing for the next half an hour. I have to go and consult my diary. Yeah, I think it's
since I shifted your day round.
Shift my afternoon round. That's right. I think you have to just go with the flow. Opportunities come in, you take them or you don't take them. I'm pretty much like you. I don't really say no to much. I give it a go. Unless, I think the more experience you get, you get a bit of an instinct about some things if you feel like they're not right. So I say no to things that I'm just a bit like, no, I don't really know that sits pretty with me.
Yeah. I think the experience part of that is recognizing the instinct, because the instinct's always there.
Right.
Allowing yourself to recognize it. Yeah.
Very good point. Very good point. And I think that comes the more you do. So just kind of go for it. I don't know what's coming up, books coming out. I've got so much work on. It's continuous, writing is continuous, which is great because I'm in the 2 countries and I can do that from wherever. But I think it's all good. I'm looking forward to this year with the gardening shows coming up this year, which will be amazing. We've got some really cool podcast stuff going on as well. So it's all good. What about you, MP?
And we're now, I think it's nice to point out, that even for us with the podcast, people are now starting to approach us to do episodes, sponsor series and stuff. So it comes to you when you then have your presence out there. And if we were people that were, too kind of, I say humble, I don't know if it's the right word, but if we were people that didn't use social media as a showcase, those offers wouldn't be coming because it wouldn't be out there and such. So
you've got to put it out there. Yeah,
totally. Yeah, so similar for me, just lots of content stuff. Obviously the book, we need, maybe I need a book launch or something. I'm always shy to do those sort of things because it's like having a party when you're young, or like a Pampered Chef party or a Jamie Oliver, and you have to beg your friends to come, but nobody else will.
It. I tell you what, you should do it. People will come because when I always imagined having a little book launch, but my first book came out during COVID, and so we couldn't do anything. We couldn't do any little launch, just even if it was just family and friends. We literally couldn't do anything. So if you can have a little soiree, Michael Perry.
Okay.
I'll expect my invoice. Invoice.
Thank you very much for today, darling.
Yes, and you. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Cowabunga.
Series 6 of the Plant-Based Podcast was brought to you with the help of Vivara UK. Vivara are a team of garden wildlife experts, and their mission is to make nature accessible to absolutely everyone. They provide plenty of ideas and solutions which can help you to create more wildlife habitats, and that's in large green spaces or even small urban areas. Why not go and join them at vivara.co.uk? The music for the Plant-Based Podcast is part of the song Grow by Mikey James, and our editor is Gareth Patch of Semi Echo.